The woman from New York is recognized for 5 minutes.
I thank the gentlelady for yielding to me. Mr. Speaker, this week on the floor, the House will provide our nation with a clear, unambiguous answer to the most important question facing the country. Will this body side with the President's approach to the war in Iraq, or will we demand change? Since Tuesday, we've been debating President Bush's plan to escalate the war in Iraq. It's a debate that was long overdue and one which the American people and our troops risking their lives in Iraq and Afghanistan deserve. The simple reality is that 2/3 of the American public, including myself, do not trust the President's judgment when it comes to the war. It's a conflict that has been defined by mismanagement and misinformation since before it began. We know that top administration officials, men like Douglas Feith, abused the public trust and misused the work of the intelligence community while making the case for the war. Since then, every piece of evidence suggests that the strategy employed by this administration has failed in Iraq. The sectarian strife in Iraq is not abated, with routine bombings that kill dozens of civilians daily. The unemployment rate in Iraq is as high as 25% and 40%. Baghdad has only a few hours of electricity per day. Our troops have continued to pay the price for being caught in the middle of another nation's civil war. 484 troops were killed last month. 48 more have been killed already this month. At the same time, Mr. Speaker, corruption, fraud, and lack of oversight have haunted every aspect of our involvement in Iraq. Stuart Bowen, the Special Inspector General for Iraq Reconstruction, has uncovered $10 billion in reconstruction funding that simply disappeared once it was sent overseas. Projects critical to the rebuilding and stabilization of Iraq's society have been handed out to private firms using no-bid contracts, firms that fail to live up to their responsibilities. To cite one example, the construction of a new Baghdad police college to train Iraqi security officers, a $75 million project of vital importance to stability, was completely undermined by a private construction company. The work was so shoddy that the classrooms they built posed a health risk to the students and had to be abandoned. Same fraud and lack of oversight have for years posed moral risks to our soldiers. In January of 2006, we learned that 80% of the U.S. Marines who had died of upper body wounds in Iraq would have lived if they had had the proper armor. A Pentagon report released last month stated once again that our troops have been sent into battle time and time again without proper armor or equipment, a reality which still exists today. This simply hasn't been a case of going to the war with the army you have, as Mr. Rumsfeld said. We face these shortages in part because the Pentagon contracts were given to companies who weren't up to the job and couldn't meet the demands of the conflict. A legitimate question might be, are we funding the troops, or are we funding crooked contractors and Iraqi government officials? Hundreds of dollars have simply disappeared. These are borrowed dollars, ladies and gentlemen, mainly from China. My friends on the other side of the aisle made two arguments against the resolution. They've told us that to condemn the President's surge means that this Congress is giving up in Iraq, and they've told us that we cannot support the troops without supporting their mission. Our troops have done their job in Iraq, and they risked their lives countless times, but now they're being asked to do something that no army can do: find a military solution to a political problem. If the mission we have given our brave soldiers is the wrong one, and the past 4 years prove that it is, why would we help our enemies by refusing to change course? If that mission is the wrong one, how is supporting the mission that is wrong supporting the troops? If the mission is the wrong one, then how is demanding a change giving up? Giving up means just the opposite. It means insisting on continuing a failing strategy. And this escalation of the war is the same failed strategy. All it will do will put more and more of our young men and women in harm's way. That reality has led it to be opposed by a bipartisan majority of this House. A Republican representative recently said this is not a fresh approach, it's just more of the same. The plan has been publicly opposed by numerous high-ranking generals, such as General John Abizaid, General Colin Powell, General James T. Conway, the Commandant of the Marine Corps. He recently said that the Joint Chiefs said, quote, that they do not believe that just adding numbers for the sake of adding numbers, just thickening the mix, is the necessary way to go, end quote. We need to stop this escalation and change what we're doing in Iraq. We need to promote a political solution and a diplomatic solution to the problems.
Gentlewoman's
I
time has
urge
expired.
the passage of this resolution.
Gentlewoman from Florida.